Okay, let's take a look at two practice exercises that will help you with your homework. This first one here, exercise 5-2B. Harris Company started the year with no inventory. During the year, it purchased two identical inventory items at different times. The first one cost $3,600, the second one cost $4,200. So we're going to look at how we would allocate to either cost of goods sold or ending inventory based on which item or which flow that we assumed. So in the case here, we want to first recognize that our first purchase was $3,600, second was $4,200. So we've got $7,800 that were goods that were available to be sold. Okay. So in the first scenario here, FIFO, we're going to assume that we give the customer the oldest one. So we give the $3,600 one to the customer, and the $4,200 one is left in ending inventory. Next, the opposite assumption, LIFO, we give customers the newest one, which is the second purchase, $4,200. The $3,600 one is left in inventory. And the last one, weighted average, we assume we mix these two items up and give a random one to the customer. Well, 7,800 divided by 2 is 3,900, so we cost the sale at 3,900 and say our inventory value is 3,900. So that's pretty easy. Let's take one that's a little bit more complicated. So in this one here, Marley Company sells coffee makers used in business offices. Its beginning inventory of coffee makers was 400 units at $50 per unit. During the year, they made two batch purchases of coffee makers. First purchase was 500 units at $55. Second was 600 units at $58. Notice they've got inflation there. The costs are going from 50 to 55 to 58. During the period, they sold 1,200 coffee makers. So we want to know what the cost of goods sold was in the ending inventory for all three assumptions. So this first one here, I want to first, before I start, look at what my goods available for sale were. So I start out with 400 at $50 each. That's a total cost of $20,000. This first purchase, 500 at 55, that's $27,500. And the last purchase, 600 at 58, is $34,008. So I add this up, I get 1,500 units. I add this up, I get $82,300. That's my total cost of goods available for sale. So I'm going to double check my answers by adding them together and make sure they add up to 82,300. So in the first case here, FIFO, I'm going to assume that I'm going to give customers the oldest stuff first. So in this case, the oldest stuff is my beginning inventory. So I give them that first layer of inventory, 400 at $50, $20,000. Now I sold 1,200, so I'm not up to that yet, so I'm going to need some more. So I'm going to give them all 500 from my first purchase. That's the next oldest. 500 at 55, that's 27,500. So now I've given them 900 units, but I sold them 1,200, so I need to dip into that second purchase and give them 300 at 58. For 17,400. So that way I can total this column. I've given them the 1,200 coffee makers. The total cost is $64,900. My ending inventory, remember that second purchase was 600 units at 58. Well, I sold 300 of them, so I've got 300 left at 58 for 17,400. Now if I add together 17,400 and 64,900, you'll find that you get this 82,300 number. And that can help you determine if you made a math mistake. So the next assumption, let's assume that we're doing LIFO. So instead of giving customers the oldest stuff, we're going to give customers the newest stuff. So I start out by giving them the 600 units that were in my second purchase at $58 for $34,800. And then I gave them all of my first purchase, 500 at 55 for 27,500, and then I had to dip into my beginning inventory to give them 100 units at $50 for 5,000. So that's the 1,200 coffee makers. The total cost 67,300. Now my ending inventory is going to be my beginning inventory of 400 minus the 100 that I just sold. So I'll have 300 units at $50 for 15,000. If I add 15,000 and 67,300, I'll get 82,300. So that checks against my goods available for sale. Now the last one, the weighted average, I'm going to take a look at the total value that I had 82,300. The quantity of goods available for sale, 1,500. And I get 54.8667. Okay, it goes on, I'll round it to that. So the cost of goods sold is 1,200 at that amount for 65,840, and 300 at that amount for 16,460. Those two numbers add up to 82,300, so it checks out. If you're off by a dollar or two, it might be a rounding error, so that may be your problem with that one if you're working on it. So hopefully this will help you with your homework. If you have questions, please shoot me an email. Thank you.